What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. Welcome back to another late night in the BrewLab with me, Lone Fox, your brew master in chief. And tonight in the BrewLab, I'm coming at you fresh from my live stream for the 400 subscribers celebration. Hence the blue wig. I did promise the lads that tuned in over there that I would wear it at least for this introduction portion of the video. So here we are. But the deck I want to show you today is one I'm calling the Groom's Entourage. And we are finally getting to showcase Edgar, the charmed Groom. It's an Orzhov list, black and white, and this one has been putting in some work for me. I'm absolutely loving the deck. So, without further ado, let's jump into the brew. We've got one copy of Blood Fountain, just as a sneaky one of. It's really in here to bring 2 target creature cards from our graveyard to our hand. That's the only reason it's really in here. But the Blood token does come in handy sometimes. So yeah, just keep it in mind. Then we're running 3 copies of Gift of Fangs, which is a great card in a Vampire Tribal deck, of course, because it can either be a buff aura for one of your vampires, or it can be a removal aura on one of your opponent's lower statted threats. So I'm actually really enjoying it. It's been putting in some serious work for me. I love the play where you put it as a buff on, like, let's say a Sorin creature token, making it a, you know, at that point it would become a 4/5 with flying and lifelink. It's not bad for 1 mana. Then we're running 2 copies of Fracture, which is great because it's instant speed removal against the opponent's planeswalkers, artifacts, or enchantments. Super versatile. Loving this card. I kind of wish I could play 3 because of the prevalence of all the class enchantments that are running around on the format. But 2 has been fine so far. We might make some adjustments as usual, BrewLab fashion, on the fly. And don't forget, those adjustments will be reflected in the deck list that you can find in the video description down below, as well as the Ether Hub link that you guys can copy and enjoy. Then we're running 4 copies of Vanishing Verse, just because it's lots of mono green running around out there, and I do want to get rid of that troll every time I see it. But it's also just great against plenty of other things, of course. Exile target monocolored permanent, instant speed for 2 mana, great. We might just maybe trim it down to 3 and put in like 1 Infernal Grasp or something like that. But again, we might make some adjustments on the fly. Next up, we have 3 copies of Wedding Invitation. Now this card in the deck is actually like, wow, putting in some incredible work. It's such an unassuming card. No one would have thought they would even play this thing outside of Limited. But it's a 2-drop artifact that when it ETBs, you draw a card. So, you know, when you've got nothing better going on in that little turn 2 where we don't have any creatures on turn 2 to play, we're either removing something the opponent has played or just draw a card. Boop. And then it just sits there on the battlefield and no one thinks much about it. Until at some point you can tap it at instant speed, sacrifice it, and you can give target creature the ability to not be, you know, target creature can't be blocked this turn. But what's also really cool is that it's a vampire, it gains lifelink until end of turn. So you can do this offensively and defensively. You can either offensively make your vampire unblockable and gain lifelink, which is great, or when your opponent swings in, if you're going to be trading anyway, you might as well gain some life off of that vampire that's about to die. You can give that vampire lifelink during blocking as well. So pretty sweet card. I'm loving it in the slot. It's kind of a glue bit. It kind of get you from turn 2 to turn 3 and replaces itself when it ETBs. Next up, 3 copies of the Meathook Massacre, because we did need some sweepers. We do have another one in here, which we'll get to in a moment, but Meathook Massacre is just so good. We can tailor it just at the right amount of -X that we want so that our creatures stay on the board and the opponent's creatures die. Or we can also do a double-sided sweep where we sweep our own stuff if the opponent's close enough to dying. If we've generated enough little creature tokens via the Wedding Announcement or Edgar Markov's Coffin, which again I'll get to in a second, sometimes sweeping our own board with a Meathook Massacre can lead to the final points of damage being done to the opponent. Next up, full play set of the Wedding Announcement. I'm loving this card. Alongside Edgar, we effectively have two Anthem effects within the same deck. So once Wedding Announcement flips to Wedding Festivity, when it has three, what are the counters called? Invitation counters. Once it has three invitation counters, it flips into Wedding Festivity and gives all of our creatures +1/+1. If we've also got Edgar, Charm Groom on the battlefield, other vampires you control get +1/+1, so all of our creatures get +2/+2. Except for the 1/1 human creature tokens that Wedding Announcement poops out in the first couple of turns that it's on the board. Don't forget, when these little tokens get pooped out, they are creatures that have power 2 or less. And if Welcoming Vampire is in play, then every time one of those creatures hits the board, one of those tokens hits the board, we're going to be drawing a card. So alongside our Wedding Invitation, Welcoming Vampire is our second important draw engine. We will be spawning often a lot of these little 1/1s, and when Welcoming Vampire is on the board, we will be drawing cards. Unfortunately, it only triggers once each turn. The cool thing is Welcoming Vampires trigger off of each other, because if you have one on the board and you play another Welcoming Vampire, it is also another creature that has power 2 or less, and so you can double draw off of that. Then Path of Peril. I said I would get to it in a second. Here we are. This card is so sweet. It's bridging the gap between... I mean, you can Meathook Massacre on turn 2 for X equals 0. You can Meathook Massacre on turn 3 for X equals 1. There are some things that hits in mono white, but most of the time, you know, when you're being pressured by mono white, you end up casting a Meathook Massacre on turn 4 where X is 2. And that sometimes doesn't hit everything on the board that mono white has been able to field up until that point, because they might have been putting counters on things with Luminarch Aspirant. They might have that one drop with Training that's already got more than 2 toughness at that point in the game. So your turn 4 Meathook Massacre doesn't always sweep the board entirely. And if you wait until turn 5, then he's going to be putting more +1/+1 counters on things, and then it's completely gotten out of your reach. That's when Path of Peril saves the day. You can cast this on turn 3, so 1 turn ahead of your earliest likely Meathook Massacre, and it destroys all creatures with mana value 2 or less. It has nothing to do with how big those creatures are, like Meathook Massacre. So Luminarch, all of the 1 and 2 drops that mono white fields is lots, and this just gets rid of all of them in one fell sweep on turn 3. Great card. And then it's super versatile, because later in the game you can cast it for its cleave cost of 6. You have to throw in a white mana there, and then it just becomes like a Doomscar. It costs 1 extra mana, but it doesn't really matter in the late game. And you destroy all creatures, not with mana value 2 or less. So Path of Peril, I was initially running Blood on the Snow and Doomscar and stuff like that. I've just ended up for these 2 more like tailorable sweepers. So we don't always have to wipe our board as well. We can Path of Peril for 3 mana. All of our creatures, except for the tokens that are generated, but all of our actual creatures, Welcoming Vampire, Henrika Domnathi, and Edgar, are all mana value 2 or higher, and so they do not get swept. Or you can Meathook Massacre for 2. Meathook Massacre for 2 will not kill Welcoming Vampire. If you've also got Edgar Markov in play, and maybe the Wedding Announcement has already flipped, at that point, all your vampires are like, they have 5, 6 toughness. Then you can do a Meathook Massacre for 4, 5, and still your creatures do not die. That's what I mean by tailorable sweepers, that you can save your stuff and sweep the opponent's stuff. Next up, Henrika Domnathi, 4 mana, legendary creature vampire with flying that is a 1/3, and at the beginning of combat on your turn, you can choose one that hasn't been chosen yet. Each player sacrifices a creature, so if you have a little creature token in play that you don't care about, you can select that one first. The opponent might only have 1 creature left on the board. You just sacrificing a 1/1 token, the opponent has to sacrifice their important creature. Or if this is what you prefer, you can have Henrika Domnathi draw you a card and lose 1 life at the beginning of combat on your turn. Or you can straight away just transform her and she becomes the Infernal Seer, which is a flying death touch lifelink with 3, 4 toughness and power. Sorry. Yeah, power and toughness. And you can pay 3, 1 colorless, 2 black, to give each creature you control with flying, death touch, and or lifelink +1/+0 until end of turn. We do have flyers, so that can be pretty sweet. And of course, the counters, the creature tokens that Edgar Markov's Coffin spawns are 1/1 white and black vampire creature tokens with lifelink, so they would also get buffed by the Henrika Domnathi. Then we're running 3 copies of Sorin, another little bit of card draw, as well as potentially, we are trying in this deck to actually do the ultimate. We are trying to get the -7 off, so I usually just -2 once, and then it's just +1s from there. We gum up the board well enough with all of these little 1/1s that the Coffin and the Wedding Announcement are spawning, as well as Welcoming Vampire, etc., as well as the token that we would initially make when Sorin hits the board. So there's enough stuff getting in the way between Sorin and the opponent's creatures that we can +1. At that point, it would be another 5 turns, but then we can do -13 to any target and gain 13 life. So we're really trying to get that one off in this deck. And then last but not least, Edgar the Charm Groom. When I first saw this card, I was really not impressed, but now playing with it over and over again, I've played this deck now a good number of games. It feels really, really good. Obviously, it's really nice to have 2 in hand. You play the one, the following turn you play the other. Because of the legendary rule, you have to pick which one stays on the board. The one that dies becomes the Coffin, and then you start pumping out those vampires while still having Edgar on the board. So those vampires come out as 2/2s until eventually, by the 3rd turn, you've put enough of these bloodline counters on the Coffin, it flips and turns back into Edgar. At this point, the legendary rule applies again. You pick one of the 2, one becomes the Coffin again. So they're just sort of cycling from each other, and the 1/1 vampire tokens just keep coming, and that I really, really like that. It's really hard to get rid of him. The opponent needs to have exile effects, and we do have a way of getting him back from the graveyard if necessary. So that's the deck. Other than that, we've just got some pretty sweet mana. We're running 2 copies of the Voldaren Estate, 2 Feel the Ruins, 4 Shattered Sanctum, 4 Brightclimb Pathways, some basics, and 1 of each manland as usual. Well, let's jump into some games, see how the deck performs. I'm going to be taking this one straight onto the ranked ladder. Now, at this point in my videos, as usual, is when I like to do a little bit of self-promotion. So if you have not subscribed to the channel yet, kindly consider doing so. We have breezed through our 400 subscriber milestone. I've now set the next milestone for 500 subscribers, and I'm really hoping to get there by the end of December. So help us get there. Hit the subscribe button. Thank you. And of course, don't forget to do all that other good YouTube stuff. Just like the video, leave a comment down below, and hit the bell icon if you want to be notified of future daily uploads. But now that we have done the introduction, it is time to get these luscious locks off of my bald head, because I am sweating in that thing. We're back. So no white sauce. That sucks. I think we mulligan this one. Green. Does have 1 white mana available. I'm sorry, green mana. Snakeskin Veil isn't going to protect you from the Path of Peril. Yeah, he was holding up a Veil with the Jaspera. That's why I didn't attack with Jaspera. Unfortunately, Jorn sticks around. Okay. Interesting. Let's get Sorin going.
No cost is too great. Will my people savage? You fight for me now.
Pity we didn't get this Hive earlier in the game. Can't see the loyalty of the planeswalkers when I'm over here. Might have to change this camera position, guys.
Know that I will not abandon my quest.
Bye. Nice way to illustrate my point from earlier during the deck tech with Henrika. Game 1. Back to 95%. Ooh, 25 gold. Whoop-de-doo. Ooh, got some mastery. Bear with me quickly while I apply some. I was busy doing the black one. I like this sleeves. Mr. Jackie Nipper, a 97%er. Let's beat this guy. Come on. We got this. It's a nice hand. Okay, so Azorius so far might end up being Esper or something. Probably Doomscar. These yeah, Doomscar. Pity, that would have drawn us a card.
Vampire North, you can deal with my servant. I'm busy.
I would have played that on blue. I guess he's got 2 blue here. It's going to be Teferi. Yep. Don't forget you can reveal lands. Doesn't cost you anything. Could have a counter spell here, which would suck. I do want my announcement on the board. If it's Jawari, we can pay for it though. Nice. Hook. Come on. Deluge. Okay. That's what he was holding up. He might even have had the counter spell, but was like, what's more important, countering that spell or getting another 2 cards in hand? So, destroy the cave. That's fine with me. Let's go for a black source. Revelry. Okay, that's enough land now, guys. Let's see what we got. Okay, the flood is real.
My ways are not for the weak.
So if you don't only attack with one creature, then it makes another 1/1. If I'd attacked with both of them, then I would have drawn a card. Just disgusting.
Tragedy falls.
Disgusting, that card. Just kill everything. Azorius control. CGB's deck. Counter magic. Another divide by 0. I'm so sick of this deck. It's the worst. Luckily, I don't play it often. It's not a huge force in the meta, but it's just disgusting. Like, okay, let's just sit here forever while you do nothing. Devious cover-up. Just reshuffling all of his important threats back into his library whenever he needs it. Endless counter spells, sweepers. Oh. Oh, pain, the suffering. Honestly, don't think I can bring myself to do this. We're not going to win this game. Like, deluge, restock constantly. Life gain, you name it. Like, this deck is disgusting. Just gonna exile it anyway, but whatever. wonder which one he's gonna exile. Probably Edgar, right? If we attack with both, we draw a card. Do we want more cards or more board state? I think we need board state. I mean, we need cards. He still doesn't have a Hall of the Storm Giants. That's not what we needed. Whoop-de-doo. Go find your Alrune's Epiphany. Might even be Lear, but I haven't seen Fading Hope. There it is. At least there's no blue source open. Not what I needed. All 2/2s now. Yeah, it's gonna be a Lear. Lear or the Hullbreaker Kraken. Ready for Lear? Jackie Nipper. The world's most annoying deck. If we just keep top taking lands for the rest of the game though, it's not going to get us very far, is it? I mean, what? Fading Hope? Come on! My thinking there was, if he plays a Teferi Vanishing Verse one, to be able to hit it. A devious cover up or what? I shouldn't have tapped the Voldaren Estate. The auto tapper is just screwing me over. Main deck negate. Shatter your opponent's spell with enough force and you'll shatter their confidence with it.
For the sake of all Innistrad, my will must be fulfilled. You deal with this annoyance.
Imagine he has Devastating Mastery again. That's just gonna be an instant scoop from me. Why do I keep my mouth blabbing, man? Just... Guys, Azorius. Barf. just the worst type of magic. Oh, I love CGB. He's one of the best. Like, don't get me wrong. Everybody should play whatever the hell magic they want to play. I'm not the magic police. And I know that my opponent is not here for my enjoyment. He's trying to beat me just as I'm trying to beat him. But those Azorius decks with like almost no win cons, where it's just sweeper, counterspell, and eventually you play a Leer, is just my idea of like, what are you doing with your life, mate? You are one hell of a bored individual if that's the best thing you can think of playing today. Necronomatog. Mulligan. That's better. Necronomatog. Wedding Invitation. First time we're getting to play the card. So far it's Orzhov. Orzhov versus Orzhov. Some cleric. Yep. Unfortunately, it's one our Vanishing Verse cannot handle. Looks like he bricked on lands. This is where our Path of the Exile would be just amazing. Is there going to be a... Okay, I thought it was going to be Righteous Valkyrie. Let's get Markov going. He's probably also running Vanishing Verse and like, ah, shit, can't get that. Aura, the Skyclave, whatever, maybe. Okay. Priest of Ancient Law. Draws a card, gains a life. Gains 2 life. He's close to the Righteous Valkyrie. It's just getting a bit scary. I think we gain some life and take him down from so close to 27 in case the Righteous Valkyrie hits the field. We can then, of course, remove it right after. There it is. That would have been pretty bad. Oh no! Come on. Nice. We can do double. Sorin. And bam.
Under my watch, neither vampire nor human will go extinct. You can deal with my servant. I'm busy.
Might take the trade. If he attacks with the cleric, I'll block with Edgar. Oh, come on, man. How lame is this deck? This card. So good. Ah. At least he's got no flyers. We can keep swinging him. He might not go for it. He's got nothing left in the graveyard to... Okay. Please not flooding. Oh!
Blood for knowledge.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We go for a 4-mana one. Hello. That was a bad idea. That was a really bad idea. That's GG. That was really stupid. GG. Oh, yeah. Path of Peril. Our last hope. Yeah, that's gonna hurt so much. 6, 7, 8. Plus 8, 16 damage. It's pretty gonna get rid of our Sorin at least. Okay. That was a really stupid Doomscar. Oh, you know, Meathook Massacre. And that's game.
You fight for me.
Whoops. Forgot about Aura. I thought it would just trigger once, but it's for every creature that dies. So one win, one loss, one win, one loss. Could be better. Manu Cabria, 21. Okay. Looking like zombies. Playing against black, we're going to be facing down a lot of removal. Straight up exile. Henrika in the hizzle. Champion. Headless Rider. Oh, this is too sweet. Bye-bye. This is where I like my opponents to be. One card left in hand, struggling to make ends meet. Okay, so when you're in this situation, always play out... Well, okay, now we can do both. So we go Welcoming Vampire into Wedding Announcement. So we get to draw a card. Whoop. Nice. Very nice. Now I'm just worrying about Blood on the Snow. 1, 2, 3 up. Oh god, here we go. The champion. Lucky I reanimated that stuff before he activated his hive. Or, you know, returned it to my hand. Not really reanimation. Close enough. So much land. Oh, I should have played out the vampire first. I was dumb. Nice. Nice. Edgar up the top. Infernal Grasp. Surely that was not intentional. Okay. Alrighty then. Yes, baby. That's the way the cookie crumbles right there. In your face. Alright. We are approaching the 45-minute mark. This is time for our final match of the night. Let's end on a win to really cement this new brew in, you know, in the Hall of Fame. I think it's really good. I'm still undecided between the Blood on the Snow version or this one, but I really wanted to pop off completely. Maybe this last game will get it to happen, where we just have creature tokens and the 2 Edgar Markovs and the coffin in play, cycling through each other. That would be ideal. So fingers crossed. Here we go. Blue. Don't follow it up with a red, although this is usually Dimir. Okay, forget I said anything. Sorin is great. Iteration. He's going for the removal. Jawari's away. This might be a trick. Nice. I thought it would be a last Jawari. Guess not. Whew. Okay. We have to try. What an ass. Imagine he's also got the counter spell. Nah. At least that. Bye-bye, Goldspan. But we're already into Alrund's Epiphany range, and there's always a second Goldspan. Why? Why is my life so hard? Oh, okay. Nice. Big old deluge. Maybe he even top decked a counter spell. Oh my god. Ugh. Is it turns, guys? Just doing its thing. Oh, crying out loud. Just drives me a little bit insane how just annoying this deck is, guys. Of course he got a third gold span off the top. Of course he did, like. Alrund's Epiphany next turn. At least we got this. Counterspell. Oh well, we tried our best. Is it turns is just disgusting. Is it dragons? Triple gold span. There wasn't much we could do against that. But that's going to be it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I really think this deck has somewhere to go. Version 2, version 3 is definitely in the cards, so stay tuned for that. I just wanted to quickly pop into the version 2 here and discuss the differences and why I think the previous one was better. But there is an argument for this Blood on the Snow recursive Falconwrath 4-bear. We might even try this one tomorrow night, so if you'd like to see how that ends up going, don't forget to subscribe and you'll be notified when that goes live. It's also got a nice little lesson board because of the eye twitch. This might end up being the better version, but yeah. Today we played Groom's Entourage and I had fun. I hope you all did too. I will see you all tomorrow for some fresh brews. And until then, this is Lone Fox from the BrewLab, signing out. Peace, y'all.